Hello, hello. Welcome back to the weekly Monday Motivation Podcast. No more excuses. I am Sandy Ballard, your hostess, your host of this weekly podcast, 188 weeks in a row. All right. That's some badassness. That's some diligence, really. And I appreciate you all listening and for sharing the podcast. And without you sharing the podcast, I wouldn't have listeners all over the world. So I really appreciate that. And if you've not connected with me on social media, please do so. Make sure you message me that you're a listener, because I not always, but sometimes have some challenges for you. And I like to do shout outs for my listeners. And thanks again. Thanks again for being here. And I help people realize their badassness, because I am, or I've been told, I've been called the badass business coach. So I'm going with it, all right? And do you know where your badassness is? If not, we need to talk. So let's get to it. It's November 4th. It's here. The last 8 weeks of 2019. You've done the hard work, but you can't stop now, right? You can't give up. You got to keep going. Pushing, all that, right? Hard finish, right? Strong finish. But, what you can do is celebrate your efforts. Take a breath and make sure your priorities are in check. It's about to be the holiday season here. I'm sure all over the world there's some sort of holidays. But, we're coming upon Thanksgiving, we're coming upon Christmas, New Year's, all that. It's about making sure you're set up for success so you can have fun and enjoy family, friends, colleagues, whatever you do for the holiday season. Again, if you're not 100%, I've talked about this off and on quite a bit. If you're not 100%, how are you showing up for others? In the last week or so, I sent one client on vacation, had another schedule a date night, reminded one to take the night for her. Her kid was staying with friends, or I think her brother, and her husband works on Friday night. So I'm like, that's your night. Do with it what you will, but it's for you. And I celebrated with two others for taking days, or most of the day, off, not answering emails, calls, text, resting, refreshing, rejuvenating themselves. And it was hilarious because they were like, both of them were like, I kind of called it a fuck it day. And I'm like, you need to coin that phrase. So, if you're run down, stressed, overwhelmed, frustrated, even if you love what you do, how are you showing up? I mean, that's how you're showing up for whoever's in front of you, whether it's a client, a vendor, a child, a family member, your spouse. You got to make sure you pull back, refresh yourself, and take a breath. Again, you can't stop now, but you got to take a breath and make sure everything's in order because you've been working so hard. You got 58 days, to be exact, from today until 2019 ends. Will you be happy where you are at that point? So let's break it down to week by week. And right now, I'm in my recertification class, and the challenge at the beginning was to find 5 people to play big for 12 weeks. So we do 30-minute weekly calls, and it's really fun, working great. We're super intentional. Instead of 60-minute calls, we're doing 30-minute calls. Every week, at the end of our session, I ask, what results do you want to play for this next week? And yes, I said play. Think about it for a moment. Sometimes the answer is more tactical, like finish proposals, order fabric, interview assistant candidates, update my website, social media plan, that kind of stuff. Does that sound like what came to your mind when I said, what results do you want to play for? Right? And that's okay, because that's common. That's human nature to think, okay, what do I have to get done? But it's when I step up and as a coach and say, that's great that you want to accomplish those things. And what result would be by doing X, Y, or Z? What do you want to have happen by finishing those tasks and to-dos? So how about you? Rethink it. Okay? Like in last week's podcast, I talked about what's next. Thinking through deeper about what's next helps you get intentional with your actions. And envisioning the results and talking about the results you're going to play for helps as well. Since we have 8 weeks left, I want you to write down on a sheet of paper. So if you're listening, I know my one listener always listens to me in the car. So when you get back to a place where you can, write it down. I want you to write down the 8 weeks. So week 1, November 4th. Week 2, November 11th. Week 3, November 18th. Okay? So on through December 23rd. Write down the result you want to play for each week. It could be lose 2 or 3 pounds. You want to run stronger, feel better, be fully staffed, have more connections on social media, maybe meet more people, all right? Then right next to it, 2 to 3 ways you can achieve that result. So what are 2 to 3 things you could do to lose that 2 pounds, to run stronger, to feel better? All that, okay? Imagine the result, feel it, see it. Now email it to me, sballard, so SBALLARD, at growingforward.biz, B-I-Z. I want you to email it to me by Wednesday, November 6th. Yes, you have 2 days. So if you're listening to this on Wednesday, get on it. Everyone who emails it to me will be entered to win, get this, the 8-week program. So I'm going to touch base with you for this last 8 weeks. Every week, 30-minute call. You can find 30 minutes. We can do this. It's a $450 value. So I don't normally just throw that out there, but I want to do this. I want one person. I'm going to coach you through this last 8 weeks. So I want you to take some time, get super intentional, and let's all dig deeper and play bigger to finish 2019 strong. All right? Remember, I help people realize their badassness. Do you know where yours is? And have a great week. And if don't forget, I have the 6-week Finish the Year Strong program out there as well. Contact me, sballard at growingforward.biz. I want to help you find your badassness. Have a great week. Cheers.